Hello everyone, let us now discuss this question count mentions per user. So in the question we are given with the number of elements or the number of users in the messages, right? Here we are given with number of users and then we are also given with a vector of vector that means which is of size n by 3 and this is called as events. This events contains either a message or online. Now, this message is of three types and this message contains three units. The first unit will be this one. The first unit will be this one and the second unit will be the time and the third unit at index 2 it will be IDs from 1 and 2 ID 2 and ID 3 like this from like IDK. Now this two can be of like this type or it can be like here. Let me tell you what this here means. Instead, let me start with all first. Now we have, sorry, it is offline. Now here we have offline. This is the same as it contains it index 0 it is offline, the message offline, and index 1 it will contain the time where the person or the user with ID X goes offline for time 2 time plus 59 not till 60, because if I see this example, offline this user 0 goes offline at 11 and gets online at 71. That means let me tell you how this works. The first thing, I got a message and I can get something like this time and I have these indexes. So what I'll do now, if I get these indices, simply I need to return a vector which contains these users. I mark them as users. This contains from 0 to number of users. I am assigning it as n and it will be the number of users will be n minus 1. Now you have all these IDs 1, 2, 3 till k. So if I get a message and if I got these IDs, then I'll go and uh, get these ID numbers. I'll use a standard string to integer function in standard template library. Then if I get something like ID1 in this message, then I'll simply increment it by 1. So that's how you solve the first part of this problem. Now, what if you get all? So for that, what I have to do is maintain a integer all. So let me say how does that work for you? Because if you say all, that means at this string, that means at this timestamp all the users, even if they are offline or online, that doesn't matter, all the users are mentioned in this. So every time I get all, then I will increment my all now. After iterating all these events, then I will increment all the users by the number of times I got this all. That means I will increment them by all, right? So let me see that, go to the next one. So here where the actual problem starts, here and offline, these two are interrelated. If you see this example, you have the number of users as 2. Let me write those users 0, 1 and 2. Now the events given are message at timestamp 10 and the IDs are 1 and 0. So I simply go to this indices and as I said, I go to ID1 and increment it by 1 and I go to ID0 and increment it by 1. Then this offline means that at timestamp 11 the ID0 gets offline, and if I see this 0 gets at 11 and 11 plus 59 till this inclusively. So 60 seconds means it also includes 11 plus 59. So this is the timestamp where it goes offline. Now you have this 71 and here. So what I do, instead of taking this here itself and counting what are the number of offline or sorry online users, I will use this timestamps as like I'll store this in a array timestamps. So this will store 71 in it. So let me say why I am storing this in a vector. So if I store this timestamps in an array, then I can only deal with the messages which are having IDs and the messages which are having all users, which mentions all users. And I am going through the offline and making it here. I am only doing two things, the IDs, and I am maintaining for all. I am only doing two things. Now when I get here, then I will increment, sorry, I will push back that into the timestamp. And if I get offline, then I will change or push back this timestamp into what will be that? So it will be 0, 1, 2. I should push back all these pairs, which are the timestamp where it starts and the timestamp where it ends, right? If you see here, so I'll be using a vector of like vector of pair. So vector of vector of pair. So every index is having some pairs and I'll push back. Now why does this happens, or why I am using this? If you see here, the message is at uh, here, right? So that means if I say all the users which are 0, 1, 2, what are the users which are online now? So as I say, all the users will be uh, online initially. So at timestamp 2, I am assuming that all the users are online. So if I take increment it by 1, everything will be incremented by 1. Then I got this offline at timestamp 2, the ID is 1. This is where the conflict starts, because I assumed at this timestamp every user will be online, but if you see here, I got offline at timestamp 2 for user 1. So that's why I'm storing all the timestamps and also the users and the timestamps where it goes offline. So let me dry run this firstly. Now everything will be zero initially. So let me write that it will be zero, it will be zero, and it will be zero. Now as I said, there will be another one, the timestamps, which will store where we got the message as here. Now we also got this VVP, vector of pair int. Then I will store them in something like I will use name offline. Now this offline also got three indices 0, 1, 2 as the number of users are 3. Now the timestamps where I got here are 2 and 61. Now what I want to do, what I'm gonna do is I got this offline at timestamp 2 and for user 1. This is 0 and this is 1 and this is 2. So I got like something like 2, right? I got 2, and 2 plus 59 will be 61 till 61. This is the pair. This is the starting and this is the ending. Now I have the user 0 and he is going offline at 1. So going offline at 1 and 1 plus 59 will be 60. Now let me start my operations. So when I go through these timestamps, I doesn't have any all. So my all is 0 till now. I doesn't have the messages where it includes all the users. So here the timestamp is 2. My goal is to find what are the users who are online in this time at 2. So I will start with 0. Now this is offline. This user is offline from 1 to 60 and our 2 comes between it. So 0 is not to be incremented. So I will go to 1. This 2, the timestamp 2 also lies in this 1. So 1 is going offline at 2. Now this user 2 is not going offline anytime. So I will increment it. So I'll increment it by 1. I just move it here, move these things here. Now I have another timestamp which is 61, right? Take this 61 and what are the users who are going, which are online? So I go to 0 and 61 comes after 60. So I'll increment 0. the user 0 is mentioned for one time. Now, after that, 61 is present in 1, so I'll not increment it. Now, I go to 2, user 2, then 61 is not present and he is online every time. So, 102 is our answer. So, this is how you solve this problem. I got the error at this uh, like this test case. So I thought everyone would be going through some problem at this test case. So I explained you. And if you want the solution or the code, you can follow me in the description. I give you the link in the description. So thank you. If you like this video, share it to friends and subscribe to my channel.